And we brought in Medicaid expansion. We have all of these initiatives that come in, and
Okay,
we
Medicaid expansion. I mean, is that because we've got an older population, or is that because of illegal immigration, or why? Why is that?
so Medicaid expansion came in on the initiative in 2020, and they put it out to the people and they voted on it. And when you look at Idaho, they said, well, 64% of the people wanted Medicaid expansion. But when you look
And
at the
what
number of,
exactly is
and
that?
when you look at that 64% of the voters, that is a very small percentage of the people. And so the reason why they were wanting Medicaid expansion is because they couldn't afford insurance. They couldn't, and a lot of your companies, they
Ah,
now will get this Medicaid expansion, because they don't have to pay that insurance because now some of their
so it's an
workers,
Obamacare thing.
it's an Obamacare thing. It's exactly what it is. And so they promised us in 2020, when it was an initiative, that it's only going to cost about $440 million, to Idaho. We have increased that. So right now, our our budget for health and welfare, and it's all of the programs, but mostly is because of the Medicaid expansion. We've increased that to where we're paying $5.6 billion out to Medicaid,
Holy
all the
crap!
different Medicaid and health and welfare programs. But Medicaid expansion is the one that's been pushing us over the limit, and we're over $1 billion. So I'm trying to think off the top of my head. It's over $1 billion that were for Medicaid expansion alone, and it isn't elderly because those are different programs. There's different.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah. So Medicaid is basically your able-bodied people, and it's taking away from your Medicare that takes care of your elderly, and then the other one that takes care of your highly disabled people. And so, because now you have all this Medicaid expansion of able bodied people in there, it's slowly taking from those that what it's designed for. And we have been trying to put some, uh, trying to repeal it. We always talk about repeal. It's very difficult to repeal any program. What happens, and I always make a joke on the floor in committee, but I keep saying it because this is how I see it. I feel like the federal government is like a drug dealer. They're like, hey, try this program. You're going to like
Of
it.
course.
Try it once. And so then we take that program, we get people dependent on that program, and then the federal slowly starts taking their portion of it out, and the state revenue, we don't have it to cover up that revenue.
Hmm.
And so we either have to figure out how the state's going to fund it, or we have to remove the program. And then that's when people come in and saying, don't get rid of the program. And what am I going to do with, my son or my sister, and again, we just don't have the money. And I'm like, it has, and that's what we dealt with this last
Well,
session.
that's what. If I don't have the money, if it just isn't there, I can't go buy something. I can't.
Hmm.
I can't go spend the money.
Yeah. And people don't realize, I don't know why they can't understand that we're almost $40 trillion in debt
What? Oh,
for the federal,
nationally. Yeah,
nationally,
federally.
federally.
Okay.
So when you look at the Idaho state budget, we bring in $5.6 billion in revenue. Our outgo is $16 billion. A
Oof.
lot of that is that federal money. There's some dedicated funds and other things,
Mm-hmm.
but a big 40% of that is from federal funds. They're starting to take their portion out. For example, the SNAP program. And it was because of the one big beautiful bill. Again, they're in debt. So they're trying to figure out ways to get out of debt. So the SNAP program this year, it's normally 75% comes from the federal, 25 of the expense is the states. This year they removed part of it. Now it's 50-50. So if we want to continue that program, we went from 25% to 50%. And we're seeing that in a lot of your government federal programs that they're saying that they're going to fund that. And then they start pulling it back, and we don't have that ability to pay. When you look at the COVID money, that we received, it was supposed to be for all these infrastructure things. It still costs us when they goes to infrastructure projects. There's still maintenance of that afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
So when that money goes away, again, we have to figure out how the state's going to continue that. This year we had the $1 billion for rural transformation health programs. They're wanting to go in and help the rural areas. Well, when you start looking, and I voted against that because again, we're taking from our children and grandchildren. And when you look at what it's going to go to, it's actually not going to what people think. It's not going to actually help issues. You're going to see it go to a lot of your hospitals, which, a monopoly of our hospitals is St. Luke's, St.
Mm-hmm.
Alphonse. We don't have a lot of hospitals. And because they says, well, it's for rural areas. Well, the definition of rural is basically the whole state of Idaho.
Oh,
We're
yeah,
considered rural.
of course.
So,
Of course.
yeah.